Okay, hopefully you will all rejoin us. Today we are cooking cheese and onion and sausage rolls. We're just going to have a bit of a chat whilst people join us again. So we're going to wait for you to join us and hopefully we will see some people soon. Sorry about the slight rotational issue on the other one. And yes, today we're cooking cheese and onion and sausage rolls. And Aisha, what would you say your first thing you do when you're cooking should be?
Preparation.
So what do we need to prepare when we're doing cheese and onion and sausage rolls?
Okay, the sausage rolls, you prepare the onions. I dice them and then cook them in olive oil. You can use butter or whatever oil you want to, but I use olive oil today to soften the onions, and then turn my oven on to 200. But then before I put the sausage rolls in, I'll lower it to 180.
Okay, so is that a nice tip for us if it's better if we have our oven on higher to start off with? Because we can always turn it down. Okay, I like that one. So today, what is the thing we have to be most careful of when doing cheese and onion and sausage rolls? What's going to be the biggest pitfall?
Sometimes, because with cheese and onions, you need to do the potatoes. Try not to put too much potatoes.
Okay.
So mashed potatoes, other if you do, it's gonna taste more of potato than cheese.
So with the cheese and onion, you say it's making sure that we've got the right ratio, so it's nice and cheesy and not too potatoey.
Yeah.
And is there anything we have to really be careful about with the sausage rolls?
Anything we have to
be really careful about with the sausage rolls?
Just make sure you get the right temperature. Really.
Okay, so if we've got the right temperature, it'll all work, will it?
Yeah.
So down the front at the moment, on the slightly oval plate, we have our sausage rolls that Aisha made earlier today. And on the circular plate are the cheese and onion rolls. So this is why Aisha knows the things that might not go perfectly well. So, did you use your favourite extra ingredient in these sausage rolls?
Oh yes, I did. My favourite, as you all know, my favourite ingredients are mixed herbs, fresh thyme and bay leaf. But today I only use a pinch of mixed herbs, just to give it that extra flavour.
So today we've said we are using ready roll pastry.
Yeah. Puff pastry.
Is there a reason we're using ready roll puff pastry?
Because it's easier, it's already been rolled, so you just take it out of the package and then just lay it on your table or whatever you have, and then just...
So if someone wanted to be really, really adventurous and make their own puff pastry, would you suggest that being a good idea?
Not really, for me personally, no, because it just takes time.
I've heard that puff pastry is one of the more difficult ones to do because you've got to get the ratio of butter
it's
to...
It's much easier with short cross pastry. Yeah.
Okay, so Aisha, what is our first step? Let's get going with the cooking.
Okay, our first step today is I've got the sausage meat.
So, was this sausage meat that you bought in a packet?
Yes. Well, I bought the sausage in the packet and then take the meat out. So
okay.
You can buy, I think there's some that's already been. And another tip is you can buy the already seasoned one. So
did you use sausages and took the skin off rather than buying sausage meat?
Yes, because I'm
That's a
going to
nice
do
tip.
my own seasoning. So I just bought the plain sausages, and then because I'm going to do my own ingredients, and then. But if you don't want to do all that, just buy the pre-seasoned one, and then you can just add whatever else you need to add there for flavour.
Okay, so once you popped your sausage meat, not the skins, in the bowl, have you mushed it down a bit?
Yes, I have.
So you've used the back of a fork to sort of squish it together so it's not...
Wooden spoon. I'm going to use wooden spoon actually. And just,
so that's a wooden spoon rather than back of a fork.
Yes,
and it's just push it all together so it's one lot of sausage meat rather than... individual sausages. So what we're going to put into the sausage meat first?
Now I'm gonna get my onions that I softened earlier.
So about how long did you soften your onions for?
Because I've got here 2 large onions, very large onions. So about 20 to 25 minutes because I want it to be really soft.
Okay.
So
and are they cut really nice, quite nice and small?
Yeah, I dice them small. So what I'll do now, just use a spoon to take some out.
So if you were doing this as the equivalent meat that we said, would it be 1 large onion?
Yeah, 1 large onion.
But this is because we're going to use the onion in both of the meat ones and the vegetarian ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my onion.
Danielle says, how on earth do you skin a sausage?
Oh, very good question, Danielle. How do you skin a sausage, Aisha?
I can show you.
I think that would be very helpful. So if you didn't want to worry about skinning a sausage, you can buy sausage meat, which is just the sausage meat.
Yeah.
If you wanted to cheat and have pre-flavoured sausages, that's why skinning them is a little bit easier. And I was just going to get out a sausage and show us. Do your...
Oh, over here.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so Aisha's just getting a sausage out.
Yeah.
So Aisha's got a sausage in its skin and a very large knife in her hand. You do not have to use a very large knife, use the knife that you are comfortable with.
Yes. So what I'll do, usually I'll put a red chopping board, which is for raw meat.
Okay.
But because I'm just showing you how to, I'll just use my hand. Obviously, I'm not advising anyone to use their hand. You put it on the.
So let's get the red chopping board out.
Okay.
So make sure when you are dealing with raw meat, use a different chopping board to when you're dealing with cooked meat or other produce, just to make sure.
Red chopping board or a different one.
So you may not have a red chopping board, but make sure it's really thoroughly washed after.
Yes. So I've got my sausage. So what I do, I just cut it in the middle.
Aisha's just sort of sliced through the top layer and probably a little bit into the meat.
Yeah, don't go too deep.
But don't try and cut it directly in half. This is lengthways down the sausage rather than halfway along. And then what do you do next?
So now I'm going to take the skin off.
And then you just peel it like you would a orange, but it's a lot thinner peel. I'm trying to think of something equivalent.
That's it. So that's it. That's the skin. You throw that away and then you put the sausage in.
So that's just peeling your sausage.
So where am I going to I'll just put it here.
Make sure when you pop raw meat down, again, it's somewhere completely different. And after handling your raw meat, wash your hands really thoroughly.
My hands.
So that's what Aisha's just gone to wash her hands and make sure that everything is nice and clean for doing the next second. And we all know every song we can sing whilst we're washing our hands now. You can sing Happy Birthday a couple of times. You can sing God Save the Queen. I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. And make sure you've dried your hands with a, if possible, single-use item and then throw that away. If not, just make sure you're as clean as possible.
So I'll put that on.
And then pop your raw meat board off to one side so you can clean it properly later. So let's go back. We've put our sautéed onions into our sausage, skinless, unskinned sausage or sausage meat. Just pop them on top for now, and Aisha is stirring them around with her wooden spoon, just sort of lifting it and turning it so it's all mixed in really well. And I hope that helps you, Danielle. And we're just currently doing the sausage rolls. In a moment we will be showing you how to do the cheese and onion rolls. But we're starting off with these and then we'll make sure everything's really clean.
Make sure the onions is well combined with the sausages. It takes time sometimes.
So if you think you've stirred it enough, give it another little stir. That's fine. I don't think you can overstir this, unlike a cake.
Not really. Just make sure everything is well combined.
So does it sort of feel different now you've got the onion mixed in? Is it a bit softer?
Yeah, a
wetter?
little bit softer because of the onions.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it. almost there.
Yeah.
Every meat has onions, seasoned onions.
So that's just making sure there's a nice sort of mix of it. You haven't got a big lot of onion in one place and a lot of meat in the other place.
Sausage meat, the other side that has no taste. We wouldn't want that.
No, we definitely wouldn't want that. So we did sausage meat, skinned our sausages first, popped them in a bowl, added our onions, and I am sure there's going to be something like some herbs put in at some point.
Well, actually, I've already put the herbs in the onions.
Ah,
yeah,
you popped the herbs in with the onions.
So what I've done with the onions, obviously, put the onions with the olive oil, and I put a teaspoon of mixed herbs.
Yeah.
And then black pepper.
Yeah.
You can use white pepper.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of paprika to give a little bit of color. And that's about it.
So if we didn't have any of that, would we have to use any of what would you say was the bare minimum if you were looking to season the sausage meat?
Okay, salt, yeah, and a little bit of salt. So
okay.
The bare minimum is the onions,
yeah,
the salt,
yeah,
the black pepper.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so most of us should have that in our store cupboard.
Yeah.
May not stretch to something as exotic as paprika.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another tip that sometimes when I do sausage, that's just me, but if you would like to try it, let's try it and let me know. I put a little bit of curry powder.
Ooh, slightly curried sausage rolls. I like the sound of that.
Just a tiny bit, not too much, just to give you that flavour. Yeah.
So the idea is once this is the basic recipe, you can always add to it.
Whatever, yeah.
So if you wanted them spicy, you could use a curry powder. You could use chili flakes if you wanted them to be really biting.
Yeah,
or probably pop some raw chili in if you were wanting to give someone a big surprise. So what do we do next, Aisha?
Alright, next.
Once we're all thoroughly mixed.
Yeah, next now, I'm just going to take this off the excess sausage of the wooden spoon. Right. And next,
okay, so Aisha, what we're doing now?
Yeah, next I'm going to...
We're flouring our board. So this is a different board from the one that we used earlier. That was the red board which we used for raw meat. We've now got a white board which is for cheese and dairy products. As long as it's clean, that's fine. So we just popped a layer of flour down so that I'm presuming when we pop our pastry down it doesn't stick to the board.
So now in this box we've got two, so we're gonna use one roll for the sausage rolls and the other roll will be
for the cheese and onion.
So you only need one, unless you want more, then you can use one pack for.
So there is a cellophane packet around which Aisha has opened with a knife, but you feel free to use a pair of scissors. And then the pastry itself is on baking parchment, so when you unroll it, it's a little bit easier as well.
Easier, that's why I love it.
Pre-made pastry is very easy, it does make it easier to do. So if you hadn't got room to flour your board, you could have left it on the parchment as you unrolled it as well.
Yeah, you could, yeah.
This just gives you a chance to properly...
I have to divide these into two, so that's why I need two.
So make sure when you get your box at the supermarket it's not squashed, otherwise it's a bit difficult to unroll the pastry. And Aisha's just having to gently unpeel the last corner of the pastry, and she's then added a layer of flour to the top again. Again, this is to make sure everything doesn't really stick. It sticks enough but doesn't fully stick.
Yeah. So what I'll do now at this point...
So you just rubbed a very thin layer of flour in and then turned it over.
Turn it over.
And then... why did you turn it over?
Just to get enough of the flour on the side, yeah. And what I'm gonna do now, you don't need to do this, but for me, I find it that it's a little bit easier.
Okay, what would we do to make it easier?
Use a rolling pin, just to straighten the edges.
Okay, so Aisha's just rolling gently, not too hard,
Not
just
too
to
hard.
straighten it out.
Yeah.
And probably also make sure it's flat and not rolling up at the edges as well. Just this is a step you don't have to do. It's just one that makes it a little bit easier.
So that's that. Just
And it
relax.
says with the sausage, could you split it down the side and do it like that?
Pardon?
When you're splitting the sausage?
You do split it. So when you split the sausage, you could, if you were really clever, do it any other way that you know about. Aisha's shown you a nice easy way that should work for everyone. And it was sort of just to split it down the middle. If you wanted to try, you could do it down the side. It's just
whichever
as
is
was
easier
mentioned,
for you.
whatever way is easier for you. That's a suggested method.
Okay. Thank you. Well, now at this point, I'm just gonna turn my.
So we've turned our pastry. It was in the equivalent of landscape mode.
Yeah.
We've now put it portrait on the table.
So now I'm gonna just cut it straight in the middle because I'm gonna get 2 rows from this.
Okay, so Aisha's cutting it in portrait in half, straight down the middle, and she's using a nice sharp knife, because if you use a sharp knife it'll cut better. And don't rush it, you can do it slowly.
Yeah.
If you had a pizza cutter, could you use a pizza cutter?
Yeah, you could, as long as anything I could cut. Yeah.
Because that
So
might be a
I've
little
got-
bit easier to control for some
Yeah.
people.
I've got 2 halves here now, so what I'm gonna do with this now, just put some, then get a teaspoon.
So you're going to use a teaspoon to dish out, are you? Is that just because it gives you a
So
portion?
No, what I do, because sometimes it sticks on the
Yeah.
spoon just to help me get it out.
So Aisha's got a tablespoon that she's using for this is how much I'm going to put down,
Yeah,
and a teaspoon that she's going to use if need be
yeah.
to push the excess sausage meat off of the spoon.
The spoon, yeah.
So
You just
you're
can put it at the center of the pastry.
so you're putting a sort of, I'm going to say a sausage down the centre of the pastry.
Yeah, roughly sausage. That's it.
All the way down. So if it's still in sort of its portrait mode, you're putting it down the long centre, not the short centre.
Not the short, yeah.
So are we gonna cook it as one long sausage and cut it, or are we gonna?
I'm gonna cut it.
I'm jumping ahead, am I?
Probably, yeah. Probably,
Tell me not to jump ahead.
Probably into 5 or 6 portions.
Okay. So depending on how big your sausage rolls, that will be when we get there.
Really, if you want to do them a little bit smaller before, I just find that 5 or 6 maximum.
Yeah.
For me.
So
yeah.
I would say at this point, make sure you don't put too much sausage meat in.
Yeah.
Because the next stage is going to be making sure it's not just a piece of pastry with some sausage meat on top, but more of a roll. And if you've got too much, it won't become a roll.
So this is my way of doing it. I know Catherine has another way.
I'll
show you the way I do. For me, it works out easier. So now here I've got a beaten egg.
So Aisha's got a bowl off to one side that she's cracked an egg into and pre-beaten, and she's got a nice large pastry brush.
So
you do not have to have a pastry brush the size that Aisha does.
Just like this is what I have. So I'll just.
And actually, if you don't have a pastry brush, as long as your hands are really clean, you can use your finger.
Just use your fingers. Best brush.
But a brush just makes it easier to apply it as a nice thin layer rather than blobs.
So now this is the tricky bit. I'm just gonna fold it this way.
So
I only put the egg white on one side, the egg on one side. So I'm just gonna fold it now.
So Aisha lifted over the side that didn't have the egg wash on it.
Yeah.
And have you put it towards the side that does?
Where the egg wash is.
And then are you pinching it together?
Yeah.
Just sort of gently pushing your fingers down
through,
to seal it up. Because we only want there to be 2 open ends, not 3 open ends.
Yeah. So that's it. Just press it down with your fingers.
And again, it's a nice gentle, and at this point you can make sure it's a bit more roll-like if you need to.
Yeah. So what I'll do now, so I like easy stuff, making my life easy. I know sometimes you cut it individually and then
Egg wash
it, but for me this is much easier.
We like easy ways of doing things.
Thank
you, Aisha.
Right, so I egg wash it first.
So are you making sure you egg wash the entire top?
Yes.
So We put the egg wash on so that it goes a nice golden brown colour, don't we? So the egg wash inside was to stick it together.
Yeah.
And this one is to make sure it goes a really nice golden brown sausage roll colour. If you don't have an egg wash, it will still cook.
Milk.
You can use milk, yeah, milk works really well as well. Does higher fat content milk work better than lower fat content?
Well, I always use the higher fats, the blue top. For me.
We're getting all these little
for me,
tips.
it doesn't really matter, but I just find out that that's the one I like to use even when I'm cooking. So now I've egg washed the top. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move this away.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We can see better.
Yeah.
Mary's class, is it puff pastry or puff pastry?
Yes, puff pastry. Yeah.
Yeah, Mary, we're using ready rolled puff pastry. And I had a read of the box earlier, and the only allergy issue it says is gluten, but I'm sure you can get pre-made gluten-free pastry as well.
Anna says, do you have to use egg or milk?
Whatever you want to use, it's optional.
Egg works really well,
because it makes it more golden brown.
but if you don't have egg, you can use milk.
So now I've already put a bit of butter in this one.
So Aisha's got a baking tray in front of her. We've got ones with tall sides. If you don't worry. And you just grease the bottom. If you have baking parchment, you could use baking parchment instead.
Yeah.
I am a great fan of baking parchment because it makes cleaning up afterwards easier.
Well, I don't mind greasing them. Yeah. Okay, I will try and cut this into 6 pieces. So we'll have 12 rolls.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah,
so we're going to try and cut our one big sausage roll that we've made into about 6 pieces.
6, yeah, so.
And you could have cut your pastry first and then made them individually, but that's hard work.
Yeah, for me it's easier. So once I've done this, I just put them.
And this is a job where you're gonna get mucky.
Yeah.
6 sausage rolls.
Right, I'll just put them.
Do you have to leave space between them? Are they going to grow as we cook them?
Yeah, not too much space, probably. Yeah, like that.
Just enough space so when they do grow, they're not going to bump into each other. Don't think of them like cookies where you have to leave a lot of space.
No, like this space is enough. So we put 6 there, and then we do the same for the other one.
So let's see if I can remember. We've got our piece of pastry, and the first thing we're going to do is put a sausage worth of the sausage meat down the middle.
Yeah.
Not too much, because then there's too much filling.
Yeah.
And what could you do if you've got leftover sausage meat?
You could do, what I do, I just put it in the oven.
Ah, so you cook the sausage without the skin?
Yeah, it's tasty. Yeah, put it in the oven.
That sounds really nice.
Do like a sandwich.
Ah.
Yeah.
Would you make it into a shape so it's more sort of round or?
Sometimes I do like a burger shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tap it like when you make burgers, and then you do sandwich with it. Because I've got some left here.
I thought we might do, yeah. Don't worry if you've got leftovers. Don't try and put it all in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will spread out.
Yeah.
I say by the look of this is a very similar way that you do a sausage plat as well. Because with a sausage plat, you put the sausage meat down the middle and then you just plat in from the sides.
Yeah.
Bob says he would cut from the middle either way to do equal lengths.
Oh. We like our sausage rolls to be rustic, but thanks, Bob. I'll see if Aisha can do it that way next time. She's got another one to practice on.
We just did a pasta dish as well with the remains.
Oh.
Yeah, you could do anything. I just put it in the oven, do it like burger, and then, that's it. However you want to do it. So I've done the same thing with that.
So that's just egg. So I was saying what we were meant to do before we did. So we did egg along one end, lift the end that doesn't have the egg over to the end that does, sort of pulling the sausage meat with you, rolling it round. And then you're going to gently press down with your fingertips to make sure there's a nice seal and make sure it's sort of roundish. Is that right, Aisha?
Yes, that's it. And what I'm going to do when I finish with this, I'll just put like a score in the middle.
Okay, we'll get to that bit, I think, because I think I might a little bit more description if possible. So then we egg wash the entire top.
Yeah.
So Aisha's just spinning the brush after she picks it up to make sure that there aren't dangly bits of egg.
Yeah.
That's a nice tip as well. Because it makes it
I'll
easier,
have
and you don't
too
have
much
to.
cleaning.
Yeah, you don't have to clean up all those dribbles of eggs that have gone between your bowl and what you're cooking.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, so egg wash all the way top. And so the suggestion was if you cut it in half
Mhm.
and then cut each half into 3, that might make it easier for getting
Okay,
even.
so is it like that? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks about half.
Yeah.
3s are really difficult.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. That's a good tip.
So you don't have to. Anyone can teach anyone a tip.
Of course, yeah. That's it.
So feel free to send in your tips as well.
Yeah. That's it.
So we're going to pop them all into our tray. Again, leaving them with a little bit of space, just so they've got a little bit of breathing room. And I have a feeling one of them just slightly popped open as Aisha popped it down. That's fine, it happens. All you have to do is just reseal it.
Yeah.
So you should have 2 open ends on each of your sausage rolls and
Yeah.
a closed seam.
So that's it. So I'm just gonna wash my hands.
Yep, because hands get eggy. This is one point where you're gonna get messy. But we don't mind getting mucky when we're gonna make food because we get to eat it afterwards.
Right. Wipe my hands with the tissue.
Yep.
And what I'll do here, I'll just wipe this off because of the excess
So
eggs.
Aisha's just wiping the excess egg off of the chopping board.
That's it. And now I have to wash this knife as well, sorry.
It's always better to use...
I'll use another knife.
Okay,
Okay, so I'll just put a line, or how do you call it?
a score.
A score in the
So
middle.
just a diagonal line from not quite corner to corner, but
Yeah.
going corner to corner across the top of each sausage roll. This gives a little bit of space for the air to
Yeah.
oof out so that they go nice and crispy.
A nice design.
And yeah, if you wanted to, you could do more to make it a really pretty design.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put it in the oven now.
So our oven was on 180, did we say?
Yeah, it was on 200.
It was on
I'm gonna
200.
put it to 180 now, or half an hour.
Okay, so there the sausage rolls go into the oven.
Yeah.
So that was how we do sausage rolls. And now we're going to go on to,
Okay, I'll put this aside.
yep, so we make sure if we're doing meat options and veggie options that we make sure it's completely cleaned up from the meat so that we don't contaminate. If you were doing it in your own house and you ate both, it would be up to you to make that decision.
Just
I
wipe
said,
this
"Oh, jab
area.
with a fork."
Pardon?
Yeah, you can jab the top of your sausage rolls with a fork if you don't want to play with a knife.
Yeah.
Just whichever makes it the easiest one for you.
Really
And
well.
Aisha's just cleaning up as we go along, because if you clean up as you go along, by the time it gets to the end, it's a nice, easy job to clean up, rather than worrying about what have I done, what haven't I done. So what we're doing next, Aisha?
So we're gonna do the cheese and onion roll.
So we've got a bit more prep to do. To do the cheese and onion rolls. So we'll see what we're going to do in that. The ingredients for all of these were up. We've got a completely different board. It's a blue board this time. So we definitely haven't contaminated from the white board.
Right, okay. Now with the cheese and onion roll, we've got here mashed potatoes.
So you took how many potatoes?
2 medium.
2 medium potatoes. You peeled them, you boiled them,
Yeah,
and you mashed them.
mashed them.
Did you just mash them with a masher, or have you put something in them?
Nothing really.
So
Just use the fork
it's
to
really
mash it.
just mashed potato.
Mashed potatoes,
No-
yeah.
So not as if you're making mashed potato, you're just mashing the potato.
So, I'm gonna have the cheese here. Okay, I'm gonna add the onions
So we use the same onion mix with the herbs already in it.
and everything. Yeah, the same ingredients apart
Mhm.
from the cheese and the potato with this one.
Yeah. If you were a vegan and unable to eat cheese, could you use a different mix for your vegetables?
Yeah,
If you
you
wanted to
could
be a bit-
use like peas,
Yeah,
mixed peppers,
yeah.
mushrooms.
Do you have to stay away from sort of wetter vegetables?
Yeah, but for me, when I saute, it's like you can drain the excess water on the shape. Yeah, just drain it off.
So we've put 3 spoonsful of onion, a little bit more in this one because it's a cheese and onion roll, rather than the other one which was just adding a little bit of flavour to the sausage meat.
Yeah, so I'm just going to mix this for now.
Yeah, so just mix up all your potato and onion so it's there aren't lumps of potato and there aren't lumps of onion.
Yeah.
So what would be your options if you were going to put some different stuff into a vegetarian option of a sausage, of a cheese and onion roll?
What would be my option?
I'm asking members.
Oh,
We've got
okay.
vegan cheese, so that's also
We could use vegan cheese. We're giving an option if you didn't like cheese as well. So yes, you could use vegan cheese instead of dairy cheese.
Mm-hmm. So this is all combined. I'm gonna use I'm just gonna use the knife.
So Aisha's opening a bag with a knife again, which you should never do. You should always use a pair of scissors.
Use the scissors. I'll use the knife. Yeah,
and we're gonna pour how much?
300.
300 grams. So with our 2 medium potatoes, that was a whole of is that a small bag?
Yeah.
A small bag of pre-grated cheese. You could grate your own cheese.
You could, yeah.
But we're going with the simple method. And if you wanted to, you could use different types of cheese if you were grating your own.
You could use is it the red Leicester cheese?
Yeah, red Leicester.
I'm just using cheddar.
Yeah.
We've got a suggestion of corn, so that's like, because corn do like chicken, corn, chicken, corn.
Yeah, you could use a corn meat, mince, sausage.
Tomato.
Oh, I have a cheese and tomato roll.
Cheese and tomato, yeah. I think with the tomato, you could even use sun-dried tomatoes.
Ooh.
With that. Yeah. Gives it more flavour. I like flavour.
Yeah, we know you like flavour.
Yeah.
So we've used our mixed herbs in this again because we popped it in with the onion. Is there any? So again, we could have used any of the other things we mentioned with the meat one. We could use a little bit of curry powder if you want them as curried rolls, or a chili powder, or fresh chili.
Yeah.
It's up to you what you add. It's all personal choice.
Anna said you could put a small amount of apple with the sausage meat.
Oh,
Yeah.
if you wanted to have very fancy sausage rolls, you could have apple sauce on top of your meat before you rolled it.
And what about cottage cheese? Would cottage cheese be too wet? Says Bob.
Cottage cheese and the cheese and onion roll. I think it might be a little bit too wet because I think it would leak out. It needs to be a fairly dry mix you put in. The potato will absorb some of the moisture.
Yes, that's why you have to put the potato. So I'm just putting this away now and then get us.
So we just mixed all of that into the potato so it was all one mixture rather than a little bit of cheese here, a little bit of cheese there, a little bit of onion and a little bit of potato.
Everything is well combined.
And again, you can't overstir this, so just keep stirring it.
Make sure you get all the flavours in. Same thing, just put a bit of flour.
So we're just going to flour the board. So just a little bit of flour, enough to make sure it doesn't stick.
Yeah.
And then just sort of run your hand gently over the top to spread it out so you haven't missed bits. We've got the other packet of just roll. So if you were making just one, you'd use the whole packet.
Yeah.
But as they're individually wrapped, you don't have to use them together. You can use them one at a time.
Yeah.
There we go. We're just unrolling it from the parchment.
That's it.
And again, just remember, tidy up as you go along. You flatten it out, gently unpeel the last turn because that's always squished together a bit too much.
Always. I just use a bit of flour.
So flour on top, that just helps it unstick a little bit.
Mary's asking, could you use spring onions if you have no onions?
Yes, you
Oh,
could.
I think spring onions
that
would be
sounds
lovely.
Nice. Oh, I love the flavour of spring onions. I love that flavour.
Just again, saute them first.
Yeah.
Or if you want them really crispy, if you want sort of the raw onion flavour, you don't have to.
What's that, Mary? Oh, lovely. That's a good tip, Mary. I think I'll try that myself. Yeah.
So we've just floured the board and we're just turning it over so we make sure we get flour on both sides. I learnt this last time. And I think I'm just going to get her rolling pin out and then gently soften it so it's got nice straight edges. Yeah. And make sure it hasn't got any bends anywhere.
You don't need to do this, but...
And it's not a full all over roll, it's just sort of a little bit at the corners and at the sides just to flatten it out to make it easier. It's an optional step.
Yeah, it is. So
and then we just picked it up afterwards to make sure it hadn't stuck to the board. We're going to pop it into a portrait mode again so that we can cut straight down the middle with our nice sharp knife, our clean nice sharp knife. And just all the way down the middle when we go. There we go. And then we're going to do, I'm guessing we're going to do 12 of these cheese and onion rolls as well.
12 again, because they're the same size.
So I should just separated them out a little bit to make it easier to differentiate.
Right,
And
so our cheese and onion roll. There we go. Same thing, what we did before, just put it in the center.
so exactly the same as we did with the sausage meat.
Yeah.
You put a sausage worth down the middle. I really should think of a better phrase. If anyone can think up of a better way of describing that, do let me know. So it's just sort of a tube down the middle of the potato, cheese and onion mix. And as we said, we use more onion in this than we did the sausage ones because it's a cheese and onion roll, not a sausage roll with some flavouring of onion.
Yeah.
And it's just, this one takes a little bit more of patting down because it's a bit more bitty. And again, don't overfill it, but make sure it's got a nice even layer all the way along the centre.
That's it, we're almost done.
Yeah. And I'm presuming our next step is that we're going to egg wash one of the long ends.
Yeah. That's it, same thing, just different filling.
And you can use any fillings as long as they're sort of dryish fillings.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've just seen a comment of what could we do to keep the board from moving around.
You can put a tea towel underneath.
Yeah, you can use a tea towel. You can also get anti-slip mats as well. So a tea towel's the solution that you've probably all got in your kitchen.
In your kitchen, rather than you buying one.
Yeah. And that'll just stop it from moving around.
Yeah.
You might find your board moves around, you might find yours doesn't. It's all to do with what surface you've got and the shape of your board.
Okay, that's done. I'm just going to roll this again.
Okay, so just roll it over the same way, pinch it down, and just sort of gently readjust the filling so it's nice and even. Would that be a good description, Aisha?
Yeah, that's it. Just press it down like you did before. Yes. That's it.
Brilliant.
And now you're going to roll.
So we're going to egg wash all of it. Then we're going to use Bob's trick for cutting it.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob. See, I'm learning.
We all learn from each other, don't
Yes.
we? So do you have to make sure you don't put too much egg wash on?
Yeah, you do, otherwise.
So it's just a fine sort of amount of egg
sure.
wash on the top.
I think like one of these, if you have like a small brush, maybe two.
Okay,
so twice.
So Aisha's got a very, very large pastry brush, so it's about one one pastry brush worth of egg. If you've got a smaller one, it might be two or maybe three.
So just try to brush it.
Yeah, just enough to coat the top.
Bob's trick. Okay, I've got my other tray.
So it's a completely different tray, exactly the same inside. It's been greased, but again, you could use baking parchment instead. Or I think I've got some silicone boards as well, silicone trays, so they don't, nothing sticks to them and they're easy to clean up from. We're just chopping up the sausage roll, cheese and onion rolls. Has anyone come up with a really good suggestion of what I can call the centre bit rather than sausage work when it's not a sausage?
Robert then. Bob said spread a hillock of filling along the pastries.
Oh, a hillock of filling.
A hillock of filling.
We'll try that one next time, see if that's any better.
Okay.
So this is the point at which your fingers are going to get mucky because you're dealing with egg and you're lifting them into the baking tray. Don't worry about that. You're going to wash your hands at the end of this. So we're going to spread a hillock of filling along the centre. And it's just going all the way down the centre. So again, we're likely to have leftovers. What could we do with our leftovers?
With the leftovers. I'm thinking, usually I don't have leftovers.
Could we fry it in sort of pasty type things as potato cakes? Would that work?
Well, then you have to add more potatoes.
But we have to add more potato,
Yes,
okay.
You have to add more potatoes. With this one, I'm just thinking you could do like, how do you call it, like a cheese sandwich? You know, like when
a cooked cheese sandwich, but with this as the filling. That sounds really nice, Aisha.
I'm just thinking that, ooh, yummy. Yeah, you could do that.
So you've got a sandwich toaster at home.
Yes, it will really.
But you could also do it in an oven. It doesn't cook quite the same way, but the filling cooks.
Yeah. But this one is, everything is cooked anyway.
Yeah.
Apart from the cheese that will need to melt.
Mm-hmm. And we always want to have melty cheese.
Yeah.
So we've put our hillock of filling and making sure it's sort of nice and evenly along. And actually, Aisha's left a little gap at either end. She did this on all of them. I've only just spotted.
Yeah.
And that's because when we roll it, it sort of pushes out a bit more towards the edges.
Does, yeah.
So we're just going to pop a layer of egg wash along the edge, one of the long edges, so that we can use that as our
and
sticky.
just a pasta bake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some really good suggestions of what we could do with our leftovers. Because I always find you never make exactly the right amount to go in.
You try, but...
And it's better to have leftovers rather than have overfilled them.
Yeah, because it's not, it will just spill out.
Mm-hmm. So we just sort of rolled it over, pushed it together, pushing it all down. Any little bits that leak out, feel free to lift up and just poke back under.
Yeah. Right.
And then we're going to egg wash the top. We're going to use sort of a large pastry brush's worth of egg wash on the top.
Yeah.
Just making sure we're covering all of it. If you miss bits, really don't worry too much. It's to make it go brown and go crunchy and crispy.
That's it.
There we are. And yeah, just make sure you go under the edges a little bit as well if you want to make sure it's all fully covered. And we're going to use the trick of cutting in the middle and then cutting as 2/3 instead of trying to think of a sixth of a thing. And again, if you wanted longer sausage rolls, you could just cut it in half, or longer cheese and onion rolls.
Or 4.
Or 4, yeah, if you wanted them slightly larger.
Yeah.
It's up to you how big or how small you make them yourself. There we are. So this is going in the same temperature oven, so that was 180, and we were cooking them for, did we say 30 to 35 minutes?
Yeah. So I'm just going to wash my hands now.
Always wash your hands.
Okay.
There we are.
I'm just going to put this away now, yeah?
Yeah, so making sure when you're walking with a knife, you're being really careful with it. But we forgot we had to have the slits. Or the pricking with a fork.
Yeah,
was a
probably I
suggestion.
could do that with this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're going to use the suggestion of pricking with a fork this time and pop a little fork into each of the top.
Yeah.
So with the fork, we've done sort of about 3 prods with the fork. Just through enough that it's through the pastry. You don't want to be getting your filling coming out on your fork.
That's it.
So Danielle says it's the same cooking time for both of them.
Is it the same cooking time for both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we cook them both for about 30 to 35 minutes. Ooh, there we go, into the oven.
Bob likes the mini ones, so you can just pop them into the pan.
Oh, I think they're a little bit bigger than mini, these ones, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're a little bit bigger.
Okay.
So,
I'm going to let Aisha do a little bit of a tidy up, and then
up.
I'm going to come into the kitchen because I've got a few bits of technology to do with the kitchen, so whilst things are cooking, that I can talk about. So I'm just going to let Aisha do a little bit of cooking. So whilst Aisha's doing a little bit of cleaning up, we've had some really good suggestions of what we can do with the leftovers. So do you prefer the larger sausage rolls or the smaller sausage rolls?
Bob said he likes the dilly ones.
Yeah, what does anyone else think?
Glenn likes the small ones.
You get more in your mouth.
So Bob liked the small ones because you could pop them in one at a time, and Glenn likes them because you can have more than one at a time. I don't know which is the better answer on that one, do you?
Anna says she's getting you some hand cream for Christmas, Aisha.
Thank you.
Danielle also likes them smaller, so we've got.
Okay.
May I come into your kitchen, please, Aisha?
Yes, you can.
Oh, thank you.
Washing up now?
Ooh, I'm doing...
Yeah, I'm going to go. Well, let me wash my hands.
Okay. Right, so the first piece of equipment I am going to show is a talking induction hob. So I'm just going to walk off screen for a moment while I plug it into the power. Okay. And I have got a jug of cold water that I popped earlier in so I could do this. So I'm just going to lift it up to demonstrate it. So this is a single induction hob. It's just got one hob, and it's got a red display, and all of the buttons are nice and raised. You can feel them. It's got a button, bottom left, that says power, and one next to it says temperature. In the middle there's the minus and the plus. There's a timer, so you can say only cook for a certain amount of time, and there's an on-off button. If I press the on-off button, it's told me it's on because it said power. In a moment it will say no pan because I haven't got a pan on top of it, because I'm just gonna hit the power button. So I've told it to go up to power 6, and it's told me there isn't a pan on top. It will not heat up if there is not a pan on top. So I have popped my hands directly on top of the hob, and it's still as cold as when I picked it up and it was turned off. It itself doesn't get hot. It only gets hot where it is in touch. So I'm just going to pour my saucepan of water in. As soon as I pop the pan on top, it stopped saying no pan. I pop my lid on. So all this was is cold water, and we will see how long it takes to boil. So it's just sort of fizzling along here. You can hear it fizzling a little bit. If I wanted to set a timer, so I knew that I was going to be going somewhere and this was going to take, say, 5 minutes to cook, I could set a timer and it would turn off after that time. I've already got the top of my saucepan having steamed over, and I can't see through it because it's steamed over. It's a nice glass lid, but I can't see through it. So let's see, I'm going to take it off. I've got some little bubbles at the bottom of my saucepan, and we're just going to let it go till it's simmering. And the little bubbles are raising up already, so I think Aisha might like one of these if she wanted to cook quickly.
Yes.
You just have to make sure you have pans that are magnetic. So I can still touch the surround of the induction hob because that hasn't heated up at all. The way an induction hob works is it interacts with the pan itself. The only reason it gets hot is because the pan itself gets hot. So I have got simmering water already. I could cook something. I don't know what you're cooking simmering water. Aisha would have to tell me. So I'm going to leave it off to one side whilst I get the next item out, and I will tell you when it starts boiling.
Danielle says that she loves the hob very much.
So, the last thing, whilst it's sitting there doing its last little bit, so the hob itself, a single hob, it's on top of your counter. You don't have to take your hob you've got out. It costs £75. And if you wanted one that was a double burner, that's £140. This one talks to you, which is why it's a little bit more expensive. I think, oh no, it's not quite boiling yet. It's steaming nicely. I'm going to make a cup of tea in a moment. So the next thing I have is a sort of a yellow disc, which has got a magnet on the bottom and a metal thing underneath it. I don't need the metal thing here because I can see that Aisha's got a can for me. What this is a talking tin lid. So it magnetically attaches to the top of your tin. I've now got the tin upside down, it's still on top. I just had to turn off my boiling water. So that's how quickly it boils, a saucepan of water. So my tin lid, let's see what's in my tin. There is a sort of a semicircle rainbow type shape at the top with a raised button on its own and two little buttons down the bottom. If I tap the raised button, it says baked beans and tomato sauce to me. That's because I recorded it earlier. It's not baked beans and tomato sauce, it's mushy peas. So I want to re-record it. I press the two little buttons down and I say mushy peas. And now when I press the black button, it says mushy peas. So I know it's a mushy pea tin. I could have said it was mushy peas, 300 grams, and the best before date, so I knew a bit more information. And these come as 20-second recordings, which they are yellow if they're 20-second recordings, or 40-second recordings, and they're red if they're 40-second recordings. A single tin lid is £5.75. If you want three, they're £15.50. And the 40-second ones only come as a pack of three, and they are £20 at 50p. So I'm just going to pop that off to one side. That's a talking tin lid. And, oh, I did say my water was boiling earlier, didn't I?
Anna says it's just like the pen friend.
It is, but it only works for tins. So this is my boiling water. I am just going to go over to the sink and pour my boiling water into my mug because I'm sure I'm going to miss some. Because I've had a cup of tea, so my water was boiling and it's now going to sit over there and brew. I'll show you the colour in a moment. So the next thing, I just tidied up wonderfully. Just nicking a herb pot from you. You might have difficulty opening jars. This one's probably a fairly easy one to open. But if you've got a new jar of jam or anything where the seal hasn't been broken, they're really difficult to open. This here is a tin grip, and all you do is just pop it over the top and twist, and it makes it easier to grip because you're holding on to it, which has a larger surface area, and you don't have to worry about holding directly onto the tin. It's a bit more grippy than your hand is.
You don't have to be visually impaired to enjoy that one.
No, this is a nice
Exactly.
tool that is good for anyone who has trouble gripping their tins or has to find someone else to open tins for them. I've also found another trick with things like jams that have got a seal on them, is if you tap them upside down or something, it breaks the seal and they're easier to open. But that's not a gadget, that's just a tip. And the tin grip, we've got a couple in the resource centre, they are £2.45 each, but I can source them from elsewhere, they'd definitely be under £5. The next thing, I think I might have shown them before, I've definitely showed them to Faye before, are tactile bands. What they are multicoloured bands, or coloured bands, where each one's a different colour, and they've all got different shapes on them, raised shapes that you can feel. So the yellow one has got round dots with a flat top, the orange one has got round dots with a bobbly top. So these could work again for maybe you've got a load of jars of herbs in your cupboard. So you could pop one round your mixed herbs, one round your bay leaves, one round your thyme leaves, one round your paprika, so you could feel the difference between them. Again, works a similar idea to using bump-ons on the top of a lid, but you can take these off and just reuse them over and over and over. And you get 10 of these in a pack, 2 of each colour, so 2 green, 2 yellow, 2 orange, 2 blue, 2 red, and they are £9.99.
Do they come in any other sizes?
No, they are just one size fits most things. So it will fit round your can really nicely, it will fit round your wrist really nicely, but anything much smaller than the can it will slip off of. But they're really very elastic, so they'll fit round things that are quite a bit larger as well.
Maxine says the tin grip sounds a lot better than electrical tin openers.
But this is the grip is only for jars, not for tins. It only works where you'd normally just unscrew the top, but we all know how easy unscrewing the top isn't most of the time. And one last thing, because we've got a really good kitchen with a fantastic amount of light in it, but sometimes the thing that causes you... I'm just stepping away so I can shut up. Sometimes things that causes you the most problems might be the amount of light you can get onto a surface where you're preparing. So I brought a duo table lamp. It sits on a table. It also comes in a floor-based one and a clip one. It's got 2 long bars that you can spread out, and you can angle the top wherever you'd like it. And on the end of each bar, you can control how much light is being emitted by tapping on the end. So you can have each of them working individually. I've currently got it out in a long, thin thing, so it's giving me a lot of light over a long area. You could put them both together, and you'd get more light over a shorter area. And this is called the duo table lamp, and the duo table lamp is £44.99. The other ones are slightly different prices. The floor one's slightly more, and I think the clip one's also a little bit more as well. And I'm gonna just take my tea bag, because I'm gonna drink this cup of tea. I'm just gonna nick a teaspoon so I can take the tea bag out, Aisha. So that was sitting there for a little bit, and I have got a lovely cup of tea, which actually for me is a little bit over strong because I'm not going to add any milk. But that was from the water that I boiled from my induction hob earlier. And it tastes just as nice as if I boiled the water in a kettle. And those are I'm just going to check with Aisha, how much longer do you think we've got in the oven? Aisha's going to come and have a check, because I've got one more gadget I can talk about. But if we can go back to Aisha, we shall do.
For the sausage roll, because we're waiting first,
Yeah.
we've got about 10 more minutes.
Okay, so if you've got any more questions about what sort of gadgets or suggestions of gadgets that you could use in the kitchen, they may not be specifically for people with low vision, but do feel free to write any down, and Faye will tell me what you're typing. So whilst you're thinking about that, I'm going to go get the last item I brought down. And I did this the first time we had a kitchen and cooking session. It is the Talking Kitchen scales. They have their nice base unit with the 2 raised buttons, and when I turn them on, it says power on. And when I pop the jug on, it's told me it's 10 millilitres worth of jug. I don't want it to be 10 millilitres worth of jug, I want it to be not weighing anything.
0.
And I don't really want to measure in millilitres, so I can press the unit button.
Ounce. Gram. Milliliter. Ounce.
And because I'm an old school cook, I cook in pounds and ounces. I can guess that one better. If you ask me to do 200 grams, I'll have no idea. And this is the Talking Kitchen scales with the nice large print jug, which says millilitres, fluid ounces, and on the other side, millilitres again, and pints. The handle's got one of those really nice foamy handles, so it's easy to grip. And the spout has a dent in it, so when you pop it on something to pour, you're not going to accidentally slip off. Okay, so the induction hob has stopped talking to me because it's gone back down to being cold. So the bottom of the pan is still fairly warm. I can put it on my hand, but Aisha could probably hold it for a long time with her asbestos hands. And the top of the unit is hot, but only because the pan itself got hot. And they are all of the lovely gadgets that I was going to show you today. And they are all available in the resource centre. If you have any more questions about them, please do phone me and I will be happy to tell you about any of them. I will be happy to give you a bit more of a demonstration and show you how they all work. So I'm going to get Aisha to come back in and quiz her again.
Danielle says she's just bought that set of scales.
Ah, so Danielle will be able to tell you again as well how they work. So remember, you can still order things from the resource centre. It just might take a little bit longer for them to arrive, and we can get them sent out to you as well. And oh gosh, it smells so lovely in this kitchen. I can't concentrate on talking anymore. We've got wonderful smells coming from the kitchen.
Hannah says thank you.
Thank you. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop everything back away so Aisha can have access.
8 ounces.
Pop some stuff in the talking scales. If you hold down the button on the right hand side, it turns them off. Otherwise it will keep telling you how much things weigh, which is not always the most helpful thing in the world.
So we had some comments earlier, just as the sausage roll was finished. So Mary says, thank you Aisha and Catherine, I'll have one of each.
We can't send out sausage rolls and unfortunately there's no food delivery today. So we can't send out any food to anyone, but we're more than happy for you to make them on your own and let us know how they go.
Well, that moves on to Anna's suggestions. She says, can you do them for lunch?
Well, sausage rolls aren't really a lunch
They're just
food.
snacks.
They're more snacks rather than a proper food, so we would love to do them for lunch, but it wouldn't be a fully nutritious meal. And that's really what our lunches are all about, is giving a good nutritious meal rather than things that we like to eat, but we shouldn't really eat a whole plate of sausage rolls.
Yeah.
Everything in moderation.
Yes.
Even though we will thoroughly enjoy eating the sausage rolls, because Aisha, as you saw earlier, Aisha made a plate ready so that they were out in front of you, and we've got the ones in the oven. So we're lucky today, we've got a couple of volunteers in who will definitely help us eat them. Otherwise the rest of us staff would be worrying about how many we're going to eat.
I think worrying is the wrong word, but
After the fact, worrying about how many we ate. So as I was saying earlier, with the way that Aisha does her sausage rolls, a sausage plat requires cutting the edges and then just folding them in so it looks like a plat on top. It looks really, really fancy, but it's not that much more difficult than doing the sausage rolls.
Yeah.
And I will keep talking. So, yeah, so just do send us your photos of anything you cook, because we love to see it when you've had a go, or send us your updates of how you've managed to do. If you've got any more questions because you've done something and it hasn't quite worked the way you want, do ask, and we will ask Aisha and she will let us know to feed back to you, because Aisha knows how to do it all. The rest of us might have some idea, but she's the best one to
I
ask.
love feedbacks.
And Aisha loves feedback. So yeah, do remember, tell us what you're doing, because we'd love to hear from you. So next week, whilst we're waiting for cooking, is going to be eye health and a dance session, well, stretching session run by Synergy Dance. So Keaton, our trustee, is going to be talking to us about eye health, and then Synergy Dance are going to be doing a session which is on meditation and stretching. So it's all going to be gentle. I have said that none of us have any idea of what we're doing, so you need to be very basic with us, and the fact that it's going to be nicely described. They've done a lot of sessions with people who are visually impaired beforehand.
Danielle has said, Glenn, please can you deliver her some sausage rolls on your way home?
We'll see if we can get... or we can't start doing favouritism, otherwise everyone will want some delivered. So Aisha, how are we doing? It's your kitchen, I'm not touching anything in the kitchen.
Yeah, we're almost there.
We're almost there, are we? A few more moments.
But the ones that we made earlier, we can take them out.
Well, we can, we-
these aside.
Yeah, I'll pop all the equipment aside whilst we're getting ready. So, do you keep chatting away?
So I'm asking everybody, what other things would they like to learn how to cook from Aisha?
Oh, that's a really good question, Faye.
Not difficult ones. Easy ones. Right.
Curry.
And do remember when you say it, it has to be able to be cooked in an hour.
Glenn suggested a curry. What kind of curry though?
Chicken.
A chicken
Or
curry.
fish curry.
A curry is a good one because you can turn it into vegetarian or vegan and lots of things.
And I think I'm going to make Faye go into the kitchen now because I know she volunteered to be taste tester.
I did, but as the lovely Glenn has decided to grace us with his presence today, I have given that honour to him.
Okie dokie, so we're just getting, hopefully they are ready. Ooh. We just get wafts of beautiful smells coming out of the kitchen window. So, when you are getting anything out of the oven, as Aisha has, please use gloves.
Oh, we've had lasagna, and that wasn't even me that suggested it, that was someone else.
Lasagna.
So the sausage rolls are ready, the cheese and onion ones require a little bit more time.
Yeah. They went in.
They went in quite a while afterwards because we had to do all the prep again. If you were cooking them together and you had the time, you could wait and pop them in both together. It's up to you.
Right, these are the ones we made.
Oh, so
Lots
Fish
of
pie,
sausage.
yeah. Anna wants to know how to do the banoffee pie. Right, Glenn, shall we make our way to the kitchen?
Yep.
So I'm just gonna see if we can get the really hot ones moved out of the way.
Yeah.
Is there hand sanitizer?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just getting Glenn towards the kitchen so he can have a try of. Are you wanting a sausage roll or a cheese and onion roll or one of each?
Could I have 4 of each, please? No. One of each. Sausage and cheese would be fine.
Okay, we'll pop them on a plate.
So, Glenn, what would you like?
One of each, please, Aisha.
One of each, please.
Glenn's just having a little bit of trouble because he was very good. He's got sanitizer in his hands, but a little bit more came out than we were expecting.
Yeah, so Glenn, would you like these ones now or the ones I made earlier? These ones are quite hot. The ones I just took out.
Can I have warm ones,
The
please?
warm ones, okay.
I can get more in my mouth than warm.
It's really, really
Are you sure
hot,
they're
though.
literally just out of the oven?
Yeah, I'm just gonna put my gloves.
Really?
Okay, we're just going to do this. We're going to rotate the camera in a moment. Okay, do you want to pop them out? I'll let Aisha serve them, and then I will rotate to my taste testers. Taste testers? Taste tester.
We've got Natalia down here as well. Who's gonna... You want meat or cheese and onion, Natalia?
So, Glenn, how many would you like?
Just the one for now.
Just the one.
You can have another one later.
Okay, would you like one of each? Yeah,
You
want
want
cheese?
the cheese and onion ones are the ones we cooked earlier because they're not quite done.
Yes, please. Could I have one of those as well, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So make sure when you serve, you
So
serve
Natalia, you
your
have it so much
meat
more?
ones and your cheese and onions.
Cheese and onion.
Everyone's very jealous of you, Glenn.
Okay, let me get the plate.
So in a moment I will rotate us round so we can see the reaction of our taste testers.
Don't worry, everybody. I'm taking one for the team. I'm doing this. This is a team effort.
It is a team effort.
Okay.
We're just
So
getting
this is
ourselves
the
prepped.
Cheese and onion.
Okay.
So one of each. Yeah.
Okie dokie. So I am going to rotate us round so we can look at our rogues gallery. Sorry, taste testers. And we've got Glenn and Natalia here. I'm going to let Aisha bring out the food to Glenn and Natalia. We've popped them on a plate with cutlery.
Oh,
So you can be civilised if you want to, or you
Yeah.
don't have to be.
Probably not.
I use my fingers, so it's a shame not to use
The
my fingers.
sausage rolls are quite hot.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Which one is cheese and which one is?
This one is
The one
sausage
closest
roll.
to you.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the sausage roll. This is the cheese and onion.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah. That's the sausage roll and that's cheese and onion. So this is quite hot.
So remember, as Aisha said, the sausage rolls are really hot because they've just come out of the oven.
Wow. They feel nice.
Would you like
Ketchup?
We wouldn't want to ruin them with ketchup.
So good. So good.
So I'm eating the cheese and onion one.
You show me.
Yeah.
It's like an explosion of taste in my mouth. Really enjoying it. I wish you were all here, but unfortunately
You are not right.
you're not. So I'm going to have to eat these on your behalf.
Okay. You can't even feel onion, yeah?
It's because the onion was sautéed beforehand, so it's nice and soft.
So good.
I'm going to try the sausage one now.
Oh, these are the nice warm hot ones straight from the oven.
Sometimes don't rub it in the talia.
I'm sure there may be a few left over that we can make sure that people who are in tomorrow can eat. But I am feeling quite peckish.
Wow, these are really nice. Rob, if you were here, I'm sure you'll be enjoying these.
I'm sure everyone would be enjoying them if they were here. And thank you so much for your time today. And thank you, Glenn, for being our taste tester.
You're welcome.
This is
So-
so good. I can't stop.
Remember, next week is Eye Health from Keaton, our trustee, and Synergy Dance doing some meditation and stretching exercises. So nice and relaxing, nothing too strenuous next week. So thank you very much for spending your afternoon with us today. And we are looking forward to seeing many of you soon in person when we have sessions back, because we miss you guys as well. It's not the same cooking and here having the feedback hours later as Aisha does. It's much nicer when we get to interact with you in person.
Yeah.
So instead of us watching Glenn and Natalia eat the rest of their wonderful food, we're going to say goodbye for now, and we will see you all next week.
Bye everyone.